This is the 21st season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, Aftco, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing back in studio. I'm looking at my schedule here, and the end of May, the beginning of June was supposed to be a fairly open time slot for me. I had like a frog hunt scheduled, which we've talked about in depth with Todd Seisner, but other than that, it was supposed to be open. That ended up not being the case. So we've had some regularly scheduled, unscheduled shows. We've been mixing around a couple things. There's also a chance we're going to be live today at noon with Scott Palmer from the Bass Tank, but he's got Andrew Loberg, who just narrowly missed his first Elite Series win. Big congrats to Wes Logan, who edged him out by an ounce on 10 Killer. We'll talk with our guest today about that exciting tournament, 63 pounds just down the road in eastern Oklahoma for Wes Logan to get his second Elite Series win. And then I'm headed to Alaska tomorrow evening. So we've got a bunch of shows that we're going to pack in. But anyway, so Scott's doing like a Bass Tank kind of tournament with Andrew Loberg, Brian Smith, and Justin Hamner. So if they have service, we're going to go live at noon and talk with some of those guys. But I say that my schedule got busy because one of the guys that I wanted to have on that is a regular on BTL that I haven't been able to have on since his, we'll call it a near win in heavy hitters, which seems like about years ago now, but it was like a month ago, is Matt Stefan. And then we finally got our schedules together and we're in the same place at the same time. So thanks for returning to BTL, Matt Stefan.
Thanks for having me, Matt. You know, so while you were doing that intro, I was just sharing on social media that I was going to be on, trying to draw 2 or 3 extra viewers.
Yeah.
Did you know
much bigger social media following than I do, Matt Steph?
Did you know if you go into YouTube and type in BTL Live that there's another BTL Live podcast now?
What do you mean?
Go do it. Go search BTL Live.
Well, hold on.
I almost shared the wrong podcast.
Interesting.
It's a Indian channel.
Yes, it is not in English.
No. But it looks interesting though.
They have a lot of views.
I thought that was interesting.
I have no idea what it's about.
They've apparently moved up in the search function because I've never seen that before.
Yeah, that's never showed up before.
You're gonna have to send them a letter, tell them to stop using BTL.
I don't know if I can do that.
Their channel's actually, they've got more subscribers too. So
yeah, they do.
This could be a problem.
18, 90, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've started around the same time. Yeah, that's kind of like an issue when the NPFL was going. So if you notice, everything is the TNPFL.
Yeah.
When they were starting it, it was just going to, I might butcher this, but this is the gist of it. It was just going to be the NPFL, but there's like some international, like handball league or something like that. It's like the National Palestinian Football League or something like that. That's the NPFL. So they had to do the TNPFL, which is why they emphasis on the.
It's getting harder to name anything anymore.
It is, dude. I started out with the worst morning I've had in a long time, and I debated talking about this, Matt, but I'm going to talk about it. Like, yeah, today, genuinely distressed this morning, and I'm not exaggerating that at all. So, I'm back. My routine is all out of whack. I mentioned I've been gone and stuff, so I went down to the bagel place to get a bagel and a coffee at like 6:15 in the morning. So it's just getting light. hop in the truck, go down. And when I return, God, this is such a bad story. I feel so bad about this. I'm not I have like a stray cat that I think it's a stray. It kind of like hangs around the house, which I'm cool with. It doesn't mess with anything. It has one little tree that it likes to hang under. I've never petted. I've never interacted with it, but it's been there for 2 or 3 years. I'm assuming it's this cat. Anyway, I guess last night a litter of kittens went to bed underneath my truck.
Oh no.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
no.
Yeah.
All of them?
I got 2 of them.
Oh man.
I know. I feel so bad, dude. Like, people could be, cat. Like, my dad's like not a cat guy or anything, but like, dude, like, when I came back, 15 minutes later, I was like, what is that in the driveway? And I've got, you've been to my place. It's kind of like out in the country with it. I don't know. I called Cord. I was like, dude, I'm about like on the verge of tears here. So I had to take care of the 2. I mean, and they were like so fluffy and so tiny. So I haven't felt that bad about myself as a human being in such a long time.
So do you have the kittens right now?
No, there were just the 2 that were deceased. Are you
sure you ran them over?
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. Have you seen the other kittens?
No, I don't know how many others there were. I haven't seen the mom. I mean, it was just those 2. I felt, like I said, I feel really bad.
That's a crummy way to start your day.
It was really crummy. And yeah, whether you're a cat person or not, or however much, like, man, it just sucks. I'm not sure how to get over that.
Yeah, I got no words for you.
Have you ever done that? Like one time have you ever like just accidentally hit something that you had no control over? It just made you feel bad?
Yeah, I mean, I've run over some things in the car that make me feel bad. But I mean, I can't, like, it's never an intentional thing. But the one thing that I really, really pisses me off when I hit, though, are deer. Like up in my neck of the woods, like that's a way of life. Like there's so many deer, but it's always like it's just one of those things where like they'll run in front of the car, like run into the car, actually is what they generally do with me. Like you don't hit them with the front, they run into like a side panel.
Yeah.
And there's not any part of me that feels bad when that happens. In fact, I'm generally very angry at the deer when that happens.
Yeah, I've hit 2, or I have not hit 2 of them. Like 2 of them have hit me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not the brightest.
You know what I hit one time though that got me good was I think I was driving to Lake Eufaula in Alabama, and it was late at night, and I was on a curvy road, and I came around a turn, and I hit an armadillo in the road, and it popped my tire. Like it felt like I hit a speed bump going like 60.
Yeah, because it probably like balled up, and it popped your tire though.
Yeah, I got a flat tire from it.
I bet the armadillo may have survived that.
He might have.
When they roll up in that ball, I mean, they like armor up.
It was one of those things where for a second I thought it was a rock, and then I kind of caught a glimpse of his head real quick. And no, I mean, it's part of when you drive as much as we do, I feel like it's part of what happens. But you don't want to. I can't say I've ever hit anything just pulling out of my driveway like that.
Yeah, I don't know what I could have done. Like, I promise you, from now on, I will like stop and survey. Like, you just hop in and back out. I mean, I didn't think anything of it. I didn't see it as I backed out because, as you know, I was looking in the rearview mirror. I don't know. It was a bad way to start the morning, but we're back at it. I mean, I didn't mean to. How
was the bagel?
Bagel's phenomenal. I get a French toast bagel toasted with strawberry cream cheese.
Where do you go? Do you have like a Great American Bagel or like a
there's like a old school bagel company right down the road. It's like $1.50. It's a good deal.
It's hard to find a good bagel these days. That was when I lived in Chicago, we had a bakery down the block. I mean, I guess it was called New York Bagel in Bialy. They're still there. I still get them all the time. They're like some of the best bagels I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. I don't know which Matt. This is the thing we run into. He said, "Did Matt get to watch the Wisconsin fishing documentary?" I think it's called with a Muskie Veteran Guide mini-length feature film. Have you seen that? It's actually pretty badass. It's for one of the boat companies, like maybe.
Oh, is this the Alumacraft thing?
Yeah, a Lumacraft thing.
Yeah, no, I've had a couple of people reach out to me. I haven't seen it yet. No, I didn't even know anything about it till people reached out to me.
Yeah, you got to watch it. It's really well done.
Good?
Yeah, it's about just like old school dude who's just been obsessed with muskies grizzled veteran for, decades, and now he's kind of at the end of his run, but he still has a couple good trips left in him.
And I think he's up in the Hayward, Wisconsin area, which is where my family's got a cabin. It's where the National Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame is. So it's on my list of things to watch. It's just been one of those things. I've been so busy, I haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah. Have you been on the water since your top? What'd you finish? 5th at Heavy Hitters?
No, I finished 7th at it.
7th at Heavy Hitters. Have you been on the water since then?
I've had a lot of little local events. Wednesday nighters. I fish a series called Head to Head Fishing. So yeah, I've actually spent a pretty good amount of time on the water, which is great. But I actually, from Heavy Hitters, I actually developed a pretty bad case of like tendonitis, tennis elbow. So and the fishing is not letting it heal at all. So it's pretty sore right now.
How did that come about? Were you doing something in Heavy Hitters that you don't normally do, like skipping under those trees or working a frog a specific way, or swim jig a specific way?
I generally do it. I don't know exactly what it was. I mean, it was 4 days of, pretty much skipping and flipping, which, that's what I do all the time anyway. So I've had issues with this over the years, so it'll flare up once in a while, but it's been years since I've had it. But it's a pretty stiff elbow every day getting out of bed. So I'm happy to have it. I'm to come out of Heavy Hitters with that event, a good finish. It was, probably my last Bass Pro event for quite some time. So it was nice to get out of there with a nice chunk of change, a good finish, some good, TV airtime. So I'm not complaining.
Are we talking like surgery, or do you have to do specific things to it? Or I know that there's been I know Ike's out with a bad arm right now.
Yeah, it's not at the point where I've gone in and thought about having any sort of surgery. I mean, really, for me, it's always just been just rested. The thing is, I've gotten home, we got our yard all torn up from a bunch of work we had done in the fall. So I've been doing a lot of yard work mixed with fishing, and I just haven't let it really heal, but it's been a pretty uncomfortable flare up of it. Let's put it that way. Probably the worst I've ever had.
Yeah, they're saying Hank has a bad arm too. And weren't you throwing a swim jig a lot and a frog and a chatterbait?
I was swim jig and vibrating jig pretty much the whole time. I didn't really know about the frog till afterwards.
Did it feel good to get the best of Drew Gill in your one and done?
Yeah.
I know we had talked.
It always feels good to get a little bit of my money back from Drew. He generally takes it. But no, it was a lot of fun to be able to kind of get that crew back together from traveling with them last year. We had a nice house on the lake. We just had a good time, good time hanging out. We're a bunch of friends, and unfortunately, Maddie Becker didn't do too well. So it was Drew and I for the last couple days, but we had a really good time. No complaints. Fishing
is such a weird thing, and we'll kind of transfer this over to Wes Logan's win this past weekend on 10 Killer. I kind of want to get some of your thoughts on that. That to me was a really cool tournament, and even though it probably didn't pan out how a lot of people thought it would pan out in Oklahoma, how the locals wanted to see kind of that like highlighted on a tough bite with the craziest changing conditions probably that I can remember in recent Elite Series history. It's very interesting to me on, can you name another professional sport where 3 days can like completely change your outlook on the past years? Like it blows my mind on that. So like you're a great example of that. So you fish the Bass Pro Tour, you have a decent year, you finish kind of middle of the pack. I think you were 56th or whatever. They have this weird change. You're not invited back in 25. You paid what, $5,000 to Derby basically for to fish 6 or 7 of the Bass Pro Tour events. You win $30,000 in that. And you're like, what the heck? Like, this is wild. Like, I'm not even making my money back for tournament. Then you qualify for this one-off heavy hitters, no entry fee. And you roll in and you pop $43,500 in a one-off event. Like that, it just, I don't know where else, like what other sport you can like do that in where it's so low. Like, why the hell am I doing this? To like, you show up, you catch a couple and, $43,000 later. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the reality is, in my opinion, based on, it doesn't matter what circuit you fish right now, but the reality is most of the circuits you're fishing to make the specialty events. So, in most cases that's a championship, but with the BPT, they've got Red Crest, and then they've got heavy hitters, and then they've got like the team series, and there's all different things you can qualify for that are no entry fee, guaranteed payout. And from that standpoint, those are the events that generally make most people's seasons in terms of the money that they take home. Because the reality is, if you have a good year and make a championship, you probably covered your expenses if you did not have like a top 5 event where you actually took home like a really good paycheck. But if you go into any of these events and you cash a check, which generally pays for your entry fees, pays for your expenses, maybe you take home a couple $1,000s. By the end of the year, you've got so many expenses, and if you didn't cash in every event, you kind of break even until you get to those specialty events. So, if I look at last year on the BPT, I didn't even break even on entry fees. I think with Red Crest, I probably did. I was probably right around break even on entry fees, but you still have all the additional expenses that go into it. So you're fishing for those championships. And that wasn't even it wasn't a terrible year. It wasn't a year I was happy with personally, but I cashed in half the events. I finished roughly in half the pack, so it's just the reality is most tournament anglers are not making money from the tournaments. They're making money from the tournaments are giving them a platform to go out and try to bring in sponsors. And, I think most anglers probably try to break even on their tournament winnings, and they live off of their sponsor dollars because they know that those are coming in a monthly basis or quarterly basis or however those checks are coming in. Yeah. So getting back to your question, if you can have kind of one of those a good finish in one of those jackpot tournaments, then you actually had a good year and you make money fishing. It's just like in 2023, so 2 years ago when I won the lacrosse event. If you look at that year, I think I won $130,000 in tournaments, but you take out the $100,000 for the win or 80,000, and I had so that was 6 tournaments. I think I had five top 30s, maybe. I think it was 5 top 30s with a win. And you take that win out of the equation and it's still a break-even year. And that would be 4 top 30s out of the remaining 5 events. So it's unless you crack a big one, which I would consider the heavy hitters one. To leave with $40-some thousand is, it's basically like winning an event. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it can really change the outcome on the year, but it also changes the mindset too. It's funny because this year has not been a good year fishing for me, and then I go fish that tournament, which I was excited to go fish, but I was really excited more just to see a bunch of the old friends, right? Mm-hmm. Like people I've known, and a lot of those BPT anglers I knew before the BPT and FLW days. So it's always nice to see the people and to be in an event where there's no entry fee, but you have a good finish, you roll out of there, and all of a sudden it's like, when's my next tournament? You're all fired up to go again for the next one because you feel like you're fishing good and you're excited to move on to the next one. Like right now, my next bigger tournament is Leech Lake, and I'm fired up to get to Leech Lake now.
When's that? Middle of August?
Yeah, that's still like 2 months away at this point. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, it was a good finish. Now, the reality is after the knockout round, I actually thought I had a good shot at winning that event. And there were, I think half the top 10 probably were all fishing roughly the same water. And I think we just beat it up completely to the point where it didn't really hold up. I don't think, I'm trying to think who would have been the highest one. Maybe Cole Floyd. Maybe he finished fourth, maybe third or fourth, but
all resident fish up there.
We just beat the area up too much, and they couldn't withstand one more day of pressure. Something
that I think is funny is, you have like a couple mediocre subpar, and we've talked about this beforehand. And it's always cool when you see when your buddies do well, like how many people are like, oh, you don't even realize that they're watching or paying attention to it, and then you do well and you're like, oh, I guess people are, you get all the messages. But it's funny, like just in fishing, like you have a couple bad ones, and you've shared a couple of these. I don't know if you've ever shared them publicly, but like the emails that guys like go out of their way to be like, hey, maybe you should hang it up, maybe you're past your time, you suck at tournament fishing, like what the hell are you still doing tournament fishing? And then it's awesome to see like how quick that flips, so everyone's like, oh, you're the best angler to ever pick up a rod and reel. But that had to feel good to see. I know you had a bunch of outpour. There were tons of people who were all watching and stuff on that for you. But it's crazy just to me, like how quick this sport flips from mediocre, bad, hang it up to, oh, I knew you had it in you, Tiger.
Yeah, well, and I think like the YouTube thing for me is brought. I get a lot more criticism now. The majority of the feedback I get is very positive, but I do get a lot of those comments, especially now that there's, like this whole shake up with forward facing sonar where you got like the NPFL, and I get a ton of people who are like, Matt, you're past your prime. You need to, you can't hang with the scopers. So you need to go fish NPFL. And it's like, man, I appreciate your feedback, but like, I feel pretty confident I can still hang with the best anglers out there in the world. And when you do have a good tournament, it is amazing though, like how much outpouring you get. I mean, throughout the event, you almost feel bad because you get off the water. The tournament's not even over. You get off the water each day, and it's like you got a whole list of people that you want to respond to because they're just sending well wishes, but you're exhausted from the day. You got to rig up for the next day, and it's like I don't really have the time to respond to everybody. But yeah, dude, and that's one of the weird things too with fishing. I feel like there's not too many other sports out there where a big part of it for the anglers is the family atmosphere that's on the water. Like, because as much as we compete with each other, we're out there like truly rooting for each other to do well if they're your friends. I mean, not everybody's your friend, but like, I've got a lot of friends that are out there. So like to even have a pile of the other competitors coming up, and they're just like throughout the week, they're like, I just want to let you know it was BS that you didn't that you didn't get an invite back. And like that means a lot to me, because I've always been an angler that, as much as the fan support is great, fishing has always been really big for me to have my peers recognition and my peers just support. Because if the other anglers recognize you as a talented and a good angler, they're not going to BS you. Like if you've got that support from your other anglers, that always just has meant more to me than necessarily like the fan support.
Yeah, that's well stated. I've also, I've been to a lot of final day weigh-ins, not competing, but covering it for the Bass Zone throughout the years. And it's always interesting to see which anglers have, there's some events where, the guy wins and his other competitors congratulate him and stuff, but there's not much. And there's other where you've got dozens of other anglers that he beat that week that alter their plans to stick around for the final day so they can be there when they get off stage, and they kind of mob them. I don't know. I just think that's interesting. Some people value the achievement more so than, I guess, peer respect. But I think there's like a really good happy medium there where you're a competitor, but also respected and liked. You can go back and forth in all the sports on that, like that. A lot of the greats in the sports are like, I don't give a damn if anyone likes me. I'm here to win. But, it's interesting in fishing because it's such more a human element. And then whether you treat the lake like an extension of you and who you are off the water and in your everyday life, or whether you look at it like, hey, I'm putting on the helmet and the pads, and as soon as I'm on the ice, I'm a different person, but that's not who I am off the ice. Like there's different guys who look at that differently, right? Like there's different guys who look at that lake, and as soon as their number is called, they're in the playing field and everyone is an enemy. And then there's it. I guess that kind of just translates through life too, but it's interesting. You know what I'm saying though?
Yeah, no,
it's valid, isn't it? I mean, I don't know what's right or what's wrong, or like, I mean, I like wish sometimes that I had like that cutthroat screw everyone else mentality, but then I also like, maybe I shouldn't care what other people think, but then like, you don't have to do the right. I don't know. It's a weird like limbo to find in.
A lot of other sports, if you look at it, it's all team based, right? So like you feel like in those situations, you're going into battle with your teammates. Like there's this camaraderie, and in fishing, it's always been, it's a loner sport. So you're out there really and, you know, it's up to you if you want to make it you versus the world, or if you want to try to make relationships out of it, meet friends, you know, actually enjoy the time when you're out on the road. I mean, for me, I was the first handful of years I did it, I always did the hotel rooms by myself. I didn't know anybody. Like at that point I just didn't know anybody. And I mean, it was like that solitary confinement of being on the water all day, then going to your hotel room, being by yourself all day. Like if it was a bad tournament, it was way worse mentally than it would be if like you could get back and you had a housemate of people that you actually felt like were, you know, friends of yours and out there not to screw you over. So like for me, always having a good traveling crew, and it has really not anything to do with information. It's just knowing that there's people there that you can talk to at the end of the day, or who, you know, if you get a flat tire, will help you change the tire, or, you know, maybe somebody cooks dinner one night and you can retie when you need to retie. It's just having that. It's like having a support team. Even though all the anglers are competing, it's like we're all there supporting each other. And for me, it's a different mental state. And I would much rather have people that I'm friends with than be traveling by myself.
I kind of bring up that whole, you know, 3 days away from glory, that kind of, you have a bunch of people. So like Wes Logan wins by an ounce over Andrew Loberg, who, you know, we've had Loberg on BTL for 4 years now, since when he started fishing the invitationals at FLW and stuff. And he'll get blue trophies. I have no worries at Andrew Lober. This is not like oh my gosh, he got close and it didn't pan out. Like he'll get blue trophies in the future, in my opinion. But for Wes Logan, like you talk about the mental grind on this, and I don't know Wes well. I know him. I've seen him at media events. I talked to him. Like, I mean, we're casual friends, right? Just one of those dudes like that you can have a beer with. But like, I mean, like you don't like call him up every week and be like, yo. But you know, back in 2021, he won on Neely Henry, which is interesting. If you look back at that win that he had on Neely Henry in 2021, it was a post-spawn event, May in Alabama, more of a current-driven fishery, but they were running 11,000 on 10 killer, small fishery based on the field. No smallmouth in Neely Henry, but multiple species, largemouth, spotted bass. Grinder tournament. He won it with 57 pounds over that, and then he finished second the following week at Gunnersville. And this is important because this was May of 2021. We're now in June of 2025. That was his last top 10. And he had gone all the rest of 21, all of 22, all of 23, all of 24. The rest of this year, and then wins this one on 10 killer. And I know he's one of those guys who we're working to get him on BTL here. I have to give him a call after this, but you know, has kind of struggled with the evolution of how things are. He's a power fisherman, likes to get up shallow and stuff, but it's really cool just to see, you know, all that time and gap in between, but then bam, he gets the win. And now he's a multiple Elite Series winner. Just a cool vibe with that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that can do I mean, that's career changing again, it's not necessarily career changing from a financial standpoint, but it's career changing from a mental standpoint. I'm for Wes. I don't know Wes. I'm sure we've crossed paths a few times
It's
over
cool,
the
dude.
years. But, just from my own perspective, if I'm talking about myself, it's such a confidence builder to win that it's the type of thing that I can put you out on a heater where, your next 4 years can be amazing years because of it. But it's a great win. You always feel, generally when I'm watching an event, I have a hard time saying, oh, I want this guy to win or that guy to win unless I truly know the people. But in this case, I think both those anglers were extremely deserving based on really figuring out how to do well with those conditions that were changing every day. Those are the tournaments that I always think are better wins for anglers, because the conditions change so drastically from like practice into the tournament that you really have to be on top of the changing conditions and fish the moment. And, I always think it really lets some of those anglers shine, and it takes away some of the practice. It takes away some of the different tools. In this case, I think it did set up well for a non forward facing sonar event. So it was a cool event. Honestly, I don't generally spend much time watching tournaments, but I actually tuned in every day for that tournament and watched a good portion. And I found it hard to turn away, just based on most of the guys were fishing the way I like to fish. So I found it more intriguing personally.
It was one of the things I thought that was interesting was in his quotes after he won. He said, this year has not been easy. I hit a wall and didn't even know my last name. After Lake Hartwell, I sat in Bill Lowen's boat and cried my eyes out because I wanted to quit. I didn't know if I was good enough to be here.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. Very parallel. I know you're not a huge golfer, but JJ Spawn won the U.S. Open yesterday, and it was at a golf course that kind of like 10 Killer, like it had weather that came through it. The rough was crazy. It turned into a grinder where good shots were rewarded, bad shots were massively punished. And, there were 8 to 10 guys that were in this list, and JJ Spawn, who's never won a major event like that, had gotten second earlier this year. Like, he won, and he was like, dude, like he had gone through the same thing like a year and a half ago. He actually was on like a plane and he was thinking about quitting the PGA Tour, and he was on a plane and watched the movie Wimbledon, which was kind of like a middle-aged guy who was past his prime in tennis, who came back, ended up winning it, and had some talks with some specific guys. I mean, kind of a lot of parallels here. I mean, obviously U.S. Open, Bassmaster Elite Series, a little different prize fund there, but it's just cool. I think it's easy to root for guys that have been around, that have grinded through it, that have been through the ringer, and then come out on the other end and kind of have their moment, or kind of comes full circle for them.
Wouldn't you say that the majority of veteran anglers have a somewhat similar story to like what you mentioned with Wes? Like myself,
98% of professional anglers, unless you are in the top 2%, like a Kevin or a Jacob Wheeler or a Ski, like someone who's experienced massive success early and then turned it into a decades-long career, like that. I think is what breaks the back of the majority of anglers, is that cyclical disappointment.
There's so many anglers I've talked to anglers that I looked up to, that I talked to early on in my career, young anglers coming up that I talk to now, where I don't want to say I'm a mentor by any means, but I can be a sounding
You're a mentor.
board,
You're 100%
right?
a mentor.
I mean, my third year, after my fourth event of the year, I just had a terrible bomb at Lake Eufaula. I was sitting in like 120th in points. I was working a full-time corporate job in Chicago at the same time. And I'm like, I was driving home from that event. I called up Sarah, my wife, and I'm like, I think I'm done. Like, I don't understand why I'm doing this. I'm working my butt off in the corporate world, putting the money into my fishing, and then I'm gambling it and I'm losing it. And it's just not like, I'm not having fun. And she she basically said, no, you're not quitting mid-season. You're finishing the year. You're finishing the last two events. And I fished the last two events, and I made a top 20 cut at Grand Lake, and then I went to Chickamauga and finished 27th. Ended up like 70s, which was middle of the pack for FLW Tour at that point. Ended up, recouping most of my fees and entry fees and expenses, and went into the next year. And I don't think I ever finished worse than like 41st in points after that, and it's like, I look back on that. I was done. I was mentally done. I was, in the same place where it was like, I called Sarah up and I'm just like, basically bawling on the phone, feeling like a failure. And, and she was the one that made me keep doing it. And then, it's like fishing to me has always been about longevity. The longer you can do it, the longer you can tread water at the professional levels, the more opportunities you get at potentially winning, the more opportunities you get at making relationships that could lead to sponsor deals. It's all about longevity. And like, truly for me, I feel like it took me probably 10 years to actually create somewhat of a small brand recognition for myself. And, the last 5 years have been pretty good years, but it took me a long time to get to the point where, I could say that fishing felt much more like a viable career. And that was with a lot of years of really good tournament fishing.
Yeah, really good tournament. I mean, you were one of the most consistent on the FLW Tour for a half decade.
It takes a long time to build up those sponsor portfolios, to build up your personal brand. Like, it takes a long time. And I think you're right. I think most anglers that come into the sport at some point hit that breaking period, and the majority of veterans now got through that break, that period. But there's a lot of anglers that hang it up after that and just say it's not what I want, and they move on to a new career.
Yeah, priorities change and stuff. Like, I was just down in Mexico with Trey, McKinney, and JT, and it's the first time I've been around like some guys that were that young for an extended period of time, and you forget what it's like to be around guys who are so singularly focused on one thing. Like, because I've been rooming, like with Hallman and Upshaw and you and Blake and Miles and, all my extended, like, I mean, I'm 40 years old now, so even the younger guys are in their 30s and things like that. But you get around some of the guys like that, and I was like, man, like I wasn't fishing at that level, the opens level when I was in my early 20s. But like, dude, those guys, like Trey is fishing 24/7, 365, except when he just passes out from pure exhaustion, and then he wakes up and he's out in the boat again. And I'm just talking about like the singular focus of one thing in their entire life. I remember one time Timmy Horton saying, like, when he had that rookie season where he ripped everything off, he said it physically hurt him. Like, he had a physical reaction, like he needed to catch a bass. Like, he had to catch a bass. Like, that was his only purpose in life during that time period, was to catch a bass, and his results showed in it.
Yeah,
I mean, it changes when it changes when your priorities change. It doesn't mean that it's not still a viable part of your business or your operation, or that it's not as important or beneficial. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the times have just changed, for the anglers that came up when I came up, and I don't feel like I'm an old angler, but I'm 45 now. And, I didn't start fishing until I was 30, the FLW Tour. So like I spent whatever that was, probably eight or 10 years working a corporate job, trying to become financially secure enough. Or not necessarily putting money in the bank, but making enough money where I could afford to go fish at the same time. And it's like, eventually I gave that up, and then I was fishing full time, which allowed me to really concentrate on what I wanted to do, which I think was great from a tournament perspective. but then it's like, then you have kids, you get married, have kids, maybe you start having some side hustle type stuff. And it's like, instead of being 24/7 on fishing, you're, spending the amount of time you need on fishing while still making everything else run. And I feel like it used to be like, that was kind of the general transition for most anglers. And ideally what would happen is, after you fished for 5 to 10 years, you didn't have to do the same amount of research when you went to these lakes. You didn't have to do the same amount of put the same amount of effort into it, because it was like, well, I've been there 3 times already at roughly the same time of year. I know what I'm getting into. Now I feel like with the transition of college angling, you have the kids coming out who got a lot of that lake experience right off the bat in college, because they're traveling the country, and then they get out, and instead of going into, say, a corporate job, they just go fishing straight off the bat. So they don't have the responsibilities of the corporate job, and then they have like that 10-year period to really work on their craft. And then it's like they start getting married, start having kids, when the rest of us did, but they're able to really concentrate on it and evolve as anglers so much faster, without the responsibilities that a lot of the anglers had when they started the tour, when they were in their 30s, because at that point you're a homeowner, you've got various things going on. And I just think it's giving the younger kids they're able to excel so much faster because of it. It's not a knock at all. I think that's what a true sport should honestly be.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Out there, like,
and if you want to get to the top, there's no other sport where you can pick it up and halfway do it in your into your 30s, and then boom, you're at the very, very top.
You travel. You probably traveled as a hockey player, didn't you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we traveled all over the country.
Yeah, but I mean, like, at what age did you go and spend your years
when I was,
with other families?
Right when I turned 18, I moved away, and then so 18, 19, 20 lived with, like, they called them a billet family, where you basically
that's what I was trying to think of. Yeah. So but I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
But I was like 3 years late. Like, if I was going to do anything in hockey, I should have been like I should have been like doing that when I was 15. Like, like I'm 18 playing with a kid who just turned 15 and is like a freshman in high school, and I'm like taking JUCO classes, and I'm like, God, I'm already past my prime.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, every other sport out there, the kids are like, I mean, kids are being scouted now when they're in like grade schools. Like, it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, I'm recording a show right after this with Sam Osbrooks. I pulled it up here. He's at Wabash Valley College in Southern Illinois. Program was started by Drew Gill, and Gill's dad is the coach now. And he messaged me, hey, I don't think you really understand what's happening at the collegiate level. I would love to come on and talk about it. So, when I'm out of town next week, that show will run. I'm really interested in seeing what he has to say.
Yeah.
What did he say exactly? He said, I'm a third-year student and have seen a little success. If you're ever interested in talking about the in-depth scene of collegiate angling and why so many young kids are seeing success in the opens and invitationals immediately after college, let me know. I feel like the college scene still takes a backseat with a lot of industry attention, but is a very prevalent thing that everybody is seeing the impact of at the top level of tournament fishing.
Yeah. Well, and this goes back to the argument of whether fishing is actually a sport or a marketing vehicle. So, and this is one of the issues that I think we're seeing a lot of tension within the sport right now. You see, I think there's a lot of younger anglers that feel like, and I'm just generalizing right now, but I feel like there's a lot of younger anglers that feel like they're not getting the attention that they deserve based on tournament finishes and how well they're performing, which is probably true. But if you look at it from a sport aspect, then that would be true. But if you look at it as a marketing vehicle, the reality is most of the companies out there would rather have anglers that have built personal brands and have the ability to promote products better than just gambling on anglers to potentially win tournaments, because there's a lot of different ways to push products. So it's kind of one of those, we're just in a weird position where a lot of people call us a sport and a lot of people call us a marketing vehicle. And the question is, which is right? Because if you treat it as a marketing vehicle, does it really matter how anglers are potentially performing at the college level if nobody's ever heard their name before? I mean, that's the truth, right? But
Yeah.
if you treat it as a sport, you better believe everybody wants to know who the next hot up and coming college kids are. And there's just such there's no right or wrong answer here. I think a lot of it just comes down to who the individual is. If you're a diehard fan of the sport, don't care about the business side of it, you're probably more interested in who the next Drew Gill is coming up. But if you're an industry person or you own a business in the sport, you might be more interested in it as a marketing vehicle. And from that standpoint, you'd rather invest in a Kevin Van Dam than, who the next up and coming kid is that nobody's heard their name yet. It's a weird place. Dude.
It's a great point. So like, I have not had Banks Shaw on BTL. I don't think I'll be honest. I hear the name a lot. I don't think I could pick him out of a lineup.
Yep. He's been crushing it lately.
Dude, he has not just been crushing it. So he won the national conference on Kentucky Lake this year in collegiate fishing. Then he finished fourth in a BFL in the Mississippi division, eighth in a BFL in the Choo Choo division. He's currently leading the Toyota Central division with finishes of fourth, eighth, and ninth. And he's leading the Invitational Angler of the Year with finishes of third, ninth, eighth, and first. He has one finish outside of the top 10 across collegiate, BFLs, Toyotas, and Invitationals with wins in 2025. So like if like I said, like if that was strictly, I'll give him some love there. He seems like a great dude. Like I should definitely have him on the show. Like that looks like a good interview, doesn't it?
Yeah. He's on our fantasy team for the St. James or for the James River. Hank's fantasy team.
Oh, okay. But he's
done us well this year.
That's what I'm saying. Like if that had happened, so imagine if that had happened in like one of the big four sports, someone comes in and is that dominant. Like, I mean, they're friggin' blowing up, but like, yeah, it is. It's very multifaceted. It's interesting.
The reality is if we're going to use Banks as an example, and I don't know him.
And I don't either.
Great guy, but
I totally agreed. Heard good things about him.
If he keeps fishing the way he does, and he makes the time to work on promotional appearances or developing his personal brand, he'll be a superstar. He'll be set by the time he's 40 at this rate. Mm-hmm. So it's so much of it comes down to the anglers, right? Like I think there's a lot of anglers coming out of college that their mindset right now is win, 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 which is a great mindset to have. But I think they also need to be looking at it from a business perspective and not just they need to concentrate on the fishing. But if at the same time they can work on building personal brand, they'll be the next set of Kevin Van Dams that come through.
And that's what they're talking about is, so it seems like back, and I know we're long past this isn't going to turn into a marathon today. Like I said, I got to record 3 or 4, but this is not, I had no idea where this conversation was going to go today. Really happy it kind of went here, because traditionally in the industry, you build your brand on your style of fishing. And I think this is where a lot of people are saying, oh, they all look the same. They're all scopers. They all do the exact same thing. So you had a Rojas who was the frog guy, and a Timmy who was the deep crank guy, and a Kevin who was the spinner bait and jerk bait guy, originally. And then he got it. But like their brand was built off of like that guy fishes like I like to fish. Like that's my guy. And so their brand was kind of built for them. And then a lot of people, what they remember now are brands that were built with an empire behind them. So it was either Irwin Jacobs' Walmart deal with the Walmart dudes who made the team guys, who pushed them, who promoted them, who made them into superstars, or the ESPN who was putting millions of dollars into it, and Bass Center and G-Man's Garage and the Elite Series that were trying to take the Iconellis and the Swindles and all that. I mean, if you don't believe me, go back and watch when Hackney and Swindle were battling it out. It was all about G-Man and Swindle and this lowly, humble rookie from Louisiana. Can he take down the John? Like, there was no hype towards Greg. Hey, you go back and watch that episode. It was dang near disrespectful to Greg Hackney on how when he's like other people are weighing in, they're showing Gerald Swindle, not Greg Hackney in this whole thing. Like, but there were machines behind that, and the anglers like played into it, and they did it with the Skeets and the Ikes and Scott Martin and like all the team deal guys and stuff that also had results that went along with it too. But you've got the results now. But I think a lot of like now, like with the fracturing of the leagues, with as many tournaments as there are, with as fast as social media churns and turns over, and without an ESPN or FLW team deal behind it, I think it is really hard to separate yourself from, to where you're not saying, okay, we're going to take you, we're going to put you into the machine, and we're going to make people learn about you. Now it's the onus is a lot more on the individual anglers to build their own brands, which has not always been the case, because you would become a brand if you got an FLW or a Bassmaster magazine cover, a camera in your boat for the recorded show, or were in contention in a Bassmaster Classic. Those were like the big main things.
Yeah, well,
not.
Well, we had a huge shift in the sport when you go back to the separation when all the guys left the Bassmasters to form the BPT. You know, there were a lot of anglers, including myself, saying, "Man, we hope that this works, because if it does not work, one of the outcomes from it will be the anglers will lose value." Because the mindset when that happened was that the fans would go with the anglers. And what actually ended up happening was the majority of the fans stuck with Bassmaster and gave the BPT, the Major League Fishing, a hard time about what was taking place. So, and what the organization saw out of that was that the draw power isn't necessarily the anglers. The anglers are actually very replaceable. And in my opinion, one of the outcomes from that is we've seen the organizations put a lot less emphasis on trying to build superstars out of their anglers versus just letting the anglers create their own brands.
I think we're having this conversation, Dominic. He goes, the OG brands were built after they caught them. Got to catch them first. They're catching them, then they form their brands. What we're highlighting are these guys are catching them. Like I just gave the stats for Banks, Shaw. Like there are a handful of guys who are catching them, yet they're not blowing up in the
they don't have the
everyday
ethos
of the name power is a great way to say it, which is not a knock on them. Like that's the kind of where this conversation went, is to like why is it not, oh my gosh, like this guy's the second coming.
It used to be that if Bankshaws was fishing Bassmaster back 10 years ago, Bassmaster would make him into a star.
Oh yeah, they have like the hand sewn cape that they'd put on him before he went to.
They won't, in my opinion, the organizations won't do it now at the speed that they used to do it. They will give them some promotion, but it's really much more valuable to the anglers to build their brand themselves, to really be able to control their future and how they're going about it, and not have the expectation that the leagues will do it for them. I mean, you can definitely force it. I mean, if Banks fishes that way for the next 5 years, he'll force it, but you don't want to rely on somebody else to do something for you in the sport. You need to make it happen on your own. And I just think that's a major shift that we've seen. 10 years ago, like back in the ESPN days, they were trying to make stars out of anglers. Like they were really putting a lot of emphasis into that. I don't think that's the case today.
No, I agree. All right, we do need to take a break. I was trying to find one of those promos where they made all those dudes look like superheroes on it. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap things up. Heck, we've already been talking about this for an hour. Are you happy with where this has gone today, Matt? Like, I know we don't have any idea what we're going to talk about.
You texted me last night and said you want to jump on in the morning. I said sure, and we never. I mean, we didn't discuss anything as to what we were going to talk about.
No, but I think that's the way it goes best. So it's BTL on a Monday morning with Matt, Stefan. We're going to talk about this when we come back. This is wild. It has to do with Mexico bass fishing. There is like a 65-pound 5-fish bag.
What lake?
Becker.
Can't talk about it.
No, we're going to talk about it. We'll be back right after this. Pro Bass Adventures is reinventing Mexico bass fishing. With boats equipped with 12-inch Garmin units and LiveScope Plus, free loaner fishing rods, and no-cost airport transportation, Pro Bass Adventures is proudly putting you in the best position for success. Pro Bass Adventures has lodges on Lake Baccarat and Lake El Salto, Mexico's two best trophy largemouth bass lakes. Visit probassadventures.com or email probassadventures@gmail.com. The official Mexico fishing lodge of Bass Talk Live.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
This is Gamakatsu's new Nano Alpha line of hooks. If it looks familiar, that's because they are. It's the same shapes and sizes in the round bend and the EWG and in the new Horizon head that you know and love from Gamakatsu, but there are a couple new features with this Nano Alpha, which is this little green label that you see on the packaging. First off, 2 times faster hook penetration. That's because of the Nano Alpha smooth coating on it, and also it is 4 times more corrosion resistant. Check it out, Nano Alpha.
I've been using Sunline Shooter for the majority of my career. Millions of dollars made, lots of bass caught, and the gnarly, gnarly stuff. If you need a abrasion resistant, tough fishing line for the really, really mean stuff, Sunline Shooter is for you.
Hey guys, Brian Schmidt here with Spro. I'm going to talk to you about the confidence I have in the equipment I use. You know, I have a charter boat business back home in Maryland. We fish for saltwater fish, and I also fish the Bassmasters Elite Series. So I keep my lights on by fishing. I have to have a lot of confidence in the equipment I use. Spro has me covered from head to toe, saltwater, freshwater, everything in between. A lot of high-end quality product. Spro has you covered.
Welcome back. BTL on the Monday Talk with Matt, Stefan. Interesting question in the comments here. You're a tackle company owner, right? With Core Tackle. Matt, as a tackle company owner, do you keep on top of college anglers for sponsorship? Like, what is their value? Like, are you looking at guys going, hey, like I need to put some Core Tackle in these guys' hands because it will definitely move more product, or is that not
No, absolutely. No, we absolutely we are paying attention to who's doing well. You know, I think there's actually a little bit of a trend in the sport to try to get these anglers soon before they make a big household name, because, you know, obviously if you start a relationship early on, you have the ability to start them at a lower pay, which is good, and develop a long-term relationship. And the reality is, you know, I think with most sports and most people that, you know, if you can develop a relationship with the people, you know, it just turns into a better deal in the long haul. So yeah, we are definitely watching and paying attention. We're also not, you know, these giant companies that have the payroll to spend a bunch of money on anglers. And we're kind of in a tough position where it's like, do we take a stab at some of these anglers that are coming up, or even existing anglers that don't have a big platform yet, and hope that they crack a win and crack some top 10s where they can get us some top 10 bait photos, things like that? Or do we look at guaranteed returns, which are more through other avenues than anglers? Meaning, like, do we put that money into YouTube content creators, which generally have a pretty safe return? You can kind of figure out how many clicks you get based on 1,000 views. So generally you have a guaranteed return. You might not hit the home run though, if that you would hit if an angler cracks a win, right? But you know you're going to get a return on your money. Or do you put that money potentially into things like paid ads, you know, and kind of older actual marketing avenues? So it's, for us, we don't have the budget to really say we're going to put money all over the place and hope that you capitalize in all areas. For us, it's kind of like, when we get some funds to put towards marketing, we, in some cases, put it towards anglers. In some cases, we've put it towards other marketing avenues. So it's kind of we look at it on like a case-by-case basis as to where we're at, but we definitely have an eye on who those anglers are.
I think we're on the verge of a very, very interesting next year and a half, especially for those anglers that are dominating things. So BPT this year obviously went to the split format, one period of FSS, 2 periods without. Invitationals went to half and half. I would say there is a chance that you'll see changes at lower MLF levels next year. I have no idea if there will be. I'm just saying I think there is a chance you'll see that. Also, some smoke over on the Elite Series side with the Angler Board, that there potentially may be some FFS changes going into 2026 season. Nothing in stone yet, no announcements, but yes or no, Matt, it's fairly safe to say things seem to be right now, as of June 16th, heading that way.
Yeah, I don't have any actual like hardcore evidence, or I haven't heard
a lot of smoke right there right now.
But I would just, as somebody involved in the industry, I would be surprised if there aren't some major changes all over the place based on how the industry's going right now.
Yeah. I mean, so, and I'm not here to debate whether that's good, bad, indifferent, or whatever. But what I'm saying is this is going to be an interesting next months, because ICAST is coming up in July, and I would venture to say that the vast majority of new products at ICAST, and you know, with Core Tackle, how long it takes to get things from concept to design to market, are going to be things that started in 2022 and 2023 and 2024 that are now coming out at ICAST in 2025, that you have a lot of companies that are going to put all their eggs in this basket with a lot of baits, that companies that didn't have stuff for FFS that are now designing it, that are actually going to be released at this upcoming ICAST. Would you not? Is that a fair assessment as well?
I mean, my assumption would be there's a pile of product coming out geared towards forward-facing sonar. I would agree with that.
And you've got a higher percentage of anglers on both tours that are there and that have qualified through their use of forward-facing sonar. You've got a ton of companies that are adjusting their marketing strategy, their R&D dollars, and their production budget to forward-facing sonar. And you've got your major organizations that have allowed this and have a growing percentage of anglers that are on it based upon their acuity and talent with forward-facing sonar, that they are now going to chop and stop. So you're going to have all of this stuff and all of these anglers, and it's going to be this weird limbo thing to where it's now no longer going to be as important. You see where I'm going with that, Matt?
Yeah. Well, it's going to
be a weird next year and a half.
Yeah, this has been a point that a lot of people have been making for a while, that the longer forward-facing sonar is around, the harder it is to potentially take it away, right?
Mhm.
Like, because if early on, a lot of the companies, from my understanding, were not overly happy with forward-facing sonar because their baits weren't selling. But now over the past 2 years, if they've created baits to sell towards forward-facing sonar, they need forward-facing sonar to sell those new baits, which hopefully, put them back in the black and make them profitable. So it's definitely a weird situation. ICAST as a whole is going to be kind of weird, because there's going to be a lot of companies that aren't involved in ICAST that have been there in the past. Are you going to ICAST? You didn't go last year.
Might be 2 years in a row.
Come on. I need somebody to bowl with.
You doing another core tackle bowlerama?
Well, we don't have a booth there. I'll be there for working for other companies and stuff, and maybe doing a little core tackle stuff, but we don't have a booth. It's going to be an interesting off season. That would be my assumption. I think we're going to see some changes all over the place.
It's interesting. I don't know. I still don't think that the industry is in as bad a shape as the ambulance chasers and click view chasers would like you to believe it's in. I think it's easy to get clicks on doom and gloom and all that BS. And if you seek that out, you can find it. But you're a great example of that. BTL is a great example of that. There's a lot of great examples of that, to where this is a very viable industry, and there are large portions of it that are still extremely healthy, and there's still a lot of people that watch this, that follow it. It's their passion. If you seek out the bullshit, you find it. If you don't, it's still pretty freaking awesome sport, dude. It's still awesome to follow. There's still a lot of passion. There's still a lot of great relationships, and there's still a lot of room to make a living in it, or to watch it stress and controversy free and follow it. I will stand by that, because I talk to people that are examples of that on a daily basis.
The sport is not going anywhere.
No.
When I say sport, I'm talking bass fishing for everybody from the tournament level down to the once a year fun fisherman. There's always going to be the sport of bass fishing. The change, for the most part, in my eyes, is more at a professional tournament level, and I think potentially a product level that companies will be coming out with that. And I'm not saying necessarily geared towards forward-facing sonar. I just think, a lot of the growth is still anytime somebody comes out with something that's new and exciting within the fishing world, whether that's a new reel or whether it's a new bait to catch tuna, whatever it is. Anytime, there's something new and exciting, you see how there are anglers out there that want to support the sport. I think right now, the majority of the negativity is really encompassed around the professional circuits. And I think some of that is probably pretty well just in terms of they've brought it upon themselves and they've made poor decisions. But, I think the tournament world will figure out what they need to do moving forward. But the sport of bass fishing is there. The people that are involved in it, and I still will. One of the greatest things about tournament fishing in the old days, when we used to have co-anglers, was the fact that I could have a stranger get into my boat and not have any concerns at all that the day would be fine, because we had a mutual love of the outdoors and bass fishing. And that's what everybody watching this right now has, that love. Otherwise you wouldn't be watching it. And these are
there's probably one dude in India going, "This is not the BTL live that I signed up for."
Well, maybe he's a fan now. But the reality is, it's the common bond that all of us have that make us love the sport. The tournament world has some issues, but that'll get fixed. But we still have the foundation of the actual sport of going out and catching bass that we all enjoy. And as long as we have that, there will be a foundation that keeps the outdoor business around. And that's what we have.
I think we end it there, Matt Stefan.
I mean,
that's a great cap on it, unless you have a list of other things that were just heavy on your heart that you wanted to get off the table. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit more reflective due to today's unfortunate circumstances that started the morning. But.
Yeah, you've got a busy day of BTLs to get ready for your trip, and you need to go recover from your morning.
I did. I visited Omnia last week. I got this hat. This was their St. Jude hat that they sold to raise money for this past year. So I was pumped to get my hand.
From the angle you have, I keep thinking it's the old school Cubs hat. Because it
does kind of look like a cut. Like a Cub. But no, it's like I feel like that's pretty smooth. A lot of the companies are going to like the white hat, which is a bold strategy in bass fishing. So like you kind of have to rotate and be careful when you wear it. And then like also the rope hat and like the kind of unstructured stuff, like the Richardson 112, I feel like is the hat of the 35 plus now.
Yep. I'm not a fan of the rope hat.
I'm a fan of a couple of them. Some of them just do not fit my head right.
I'm a fan of the Richardson 112.
I'll show you what I did get that I'm going to do some giveaways for. I had Mark from Team USA Bass send me a few of the like especially with 4th of July coming up.
I like that.
Is that not a smooth 4th of July hat right there?
Where's your gold medal?
On the back.
Yeah.
I got a couple of those to give. I got to figure out how and when. I'll probably do some evening shows. Got a little bit of them. Gold medals are right there.
I like it.
Yeah.
You represented well.
Yeah, no, I was pretty damn proud of it. Actually, if you guys want to take a gander, I know Scott's coming out with his stuff. Oh, you got to watch this. Upshaw just posted day 1 on Let's Fish TV. You gotta watch this net job, dude. This is the worst team tournament net job in the history of bass
Olympic fishing.
Yeah, so there it is right there. So it's a full episode. You can watch it on YouTube. I got to get to the point. So Upshaw hooks it. Okay, here it is right here. Watch this. This is the worst net job in history. So we'll just watch it. It's a 6.5, 7-pounder. And you'll see. So I made a veteran move right off. I'll just watch it.
Don't grab the net.
Just watch this.
You're grabbing the net. That always drives me nuts.
Oh, no, you're about to just log off.
Yeah.
Just watch this.
That's why you don't grab the net.
That's a 6-pounder on a spinning rod. So if you see right here, so I'm holding the net because I don't want the fish to come up, roll, and get the bait caught in the outside of the net and pull off, right? So you can understand why I'm holding it, right?
No, it's always an error.
Here comes the why do you not ever hold the net?
Because the net shouldn't be in the water to begin with.
It's not in the water.
I know it's not, but I'm saying it wouldn't normally be interfering with where the fish is at. So
well, look how long how deep the net is.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen guys do exactly what you did. And generally what'll happen if you're worried about the fish getting caught on the outside of the net, a lot of times they'll get caught right at the front of the net because it's tight, and then they get caught and flop off that way.
So we'll go back to it. So
I love
I'm trying not to stab at it, but what happens is I forget to let the back of the net go, which creates a trampoline effect when I go to net the fish.
This is beautiful.
So see, I forgot to let the net go.
What did he
Still
have that
forgot.
on? You know?
Yeah. I mean,
I can't believe you're showing this. You should pay Upshaw a lot of money to take that out of the episode.
oh my God.
What? Hey, what did he catch that on him?
So,
You know?
Yeah, it looks so much worse when you pause it.
If that was a crankbait, that fish would have come off midair.
So much worse when you pause it. Oh my gosh. So I should have let it go. There it goes. I can't believe how bad I did on that. One more time.
You did re-net the fish, so you get a couple points for that. Like, had that fish landed back in the water, it would have been brutal.
There he is. Like, look, head in, everything's good. I just forget to let go of the net.
That's why you don't hold the net. Oh my gosh. That should be it. Yeah, you should put that on a shirt. That should be your St. Jude shirt for next year. It should just say something like,
I just shovel the thing a legit 6 feet in the air. Like, look at how far that fish is.
that bass has no idea what's happening right now. Oh my gosh. When was the last time you used the net?
At the St. Jude, but like it wasn't like 6 pounders. They're like 3 and a pound. You know what I mean? They're like way smaller. I mean, that's like and then look, the hook just falls out. I mean, that's like a big fish too. You guys could watch that on Let's Fish TV. Oh yeah. So, Pro Bass Adventures, Josh at Pro Bass Adventures, they do El Salto and Back Rack. We're doing a trip in December to El Salto the 9th through the 15th. We still have a couple BTL spots open. If you're interested in that, email me, matt@basson.com. I'll forward it on to Josh. And then what he does is just send you all the information for it. We're doing a cool thing this time where it's like you do like $20 a day for big bass. So like you can basically pay for all your tips and stuff. You get 25 guys there and stuff. It's fun. You should consider coming down there. You could catch them on your scamper rig and your wacky deal and all of the new core tackle stuff.
I would love to.
I'm serious. Oh, did you say you had something during that time or something? Have I not talked to you about that?
You know, we haven't talked about this.
Oh, no. Yeah. You need
Send me the dates.
You need to be a part of that. I
would love to.
Yeah, for sure.
I heard somebody told me recently they had like a 65-pound bag caught.
So
there.
What Josh is doing, so he's got 2 lodges, El Salto and Back Rack, and at Back Rack they had like a king of Back Rack or a tournament, and it was like your single best fish for like 5 days in a row or 4 or 5 days in a row. The numbers were absolutely ridiculous. The best 5 for one of the guys would have gone like 63 pounds on Back Rack. Yeah.
That's crazy.
He sent me a picture. Okay, so they did it. Big Bass was like 13 something. They did it 5 days. So, and they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They're 14 teams, so 28 guys. First day they had 6 double digits, 6 over 9, 3 over 10, and 3 over 11. The second day they had 8 double digits, 10 over 9, 4 10s, 2 11s, and 2 12s. The third day they had 9 double digits, 2 9s, 6 10s, 2 11s, and 1 12. And then the final day they had 10 double digits, 2 over 9, 6 over 10, 3 over 11, and 1 over 12.
Sick, dude.
It's absolutely insane. Yeah, the Kings of Back Rack is what he called it. 1, 2, yeah, I think they did either 4 or 5 days. So I'm going to work on getting Josh on to talk about how that went down. But they did a catch, weigh, release format all on Bubba scales. So
it sounds like a good time.
It is a good time, especially when you can celebrate each fish over 8 with a 7-ounce ice cold Mexican Pacifico.
Cerveza.
Cerveza. All right, I'm gonna let you go, Matt. I greatly appreciate the time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to. I went and pre-practiced leech a couple weeks ago, last week. I think I might have been the first guy to bass fish on it since the Open was there. There were like 65 boats out there, and like saw one or two other guys bass fishing, but the majority were either figure eighting for muskellunge or complaining about how the walleye were not biting their Lindier eggs.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. It'll be fun.
Yeah, no, I love going up there. It's a really cool part of the country. So I was kind of disappointed that I didn't, on my trip up or back, I didn't like go through Wisconsin because I was planning on stocking up on the nectar of the gods, but I skirted the entire state.
Well, you've always got a place, Matt. You've always got a place to stay if you want to slide in and grab yourself a few cold ones.
Yeah. All right. Have fun. Have a good day.
See you guys.
See ya. All right. The one and only Matt Stefan. A really good conversation right there. Really good conversation. We'll leave it at that. All right. So the plan is to go back live at noon with Scott Palmer from a local lake in Oklahoma with decent service, not great service. But Andrew Loberg, Brian Smith, and Justin Hamner. So if you subscribe and hit the notifications button on YouTube, you'll know when we go back live. This has been another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live. We'll talk to everyone later. See ya.